Marcus here again. One of the #1 topics that's being discussed on the markers of the news today is whistleblowing. You know the old adage, look at your neighbor, especially during these times when we're threatened by terrorism, and see if they're doing anything suspicious. And if they are, call 911. Tell somebody, don't just let it go. It might be something dangerous. Well, you know, once you get people's attention peaking and they start searching and looking here and looking there to find something, sometimes they might come upon something that you don't want them to know. In fact, those who have advocated peeping and sneaking have been caught doing something that they aren't supposed to be doing by those who have been trained to sneak and peek. And they want to call Joe Public and make them aware of this activity that is being done. And rather than deal with it the same as you would deal with Joe Blow down the street who seems to be doing something strange, you take a blind eye to the powers that be that's doing it to you, the people. At least that's the message that's being given. For those of you who saw the message, the story with the Protestant Reformation, with Martin Luther, back in those days you saw that the Catholic Church was the premier church for the country, England. And the people had no scripture, they had no Bible. The only ones that were privy to that were the priests, that hierarchy as it need be. And so the people, ignorant of even what the scriptures were saying at that time, had to buy exactly what someone was telling them. And the message that was being told to them was different than the message that was being in the scriptures. And I'm sure that before then there were situations similar to this that had to do with what was being written in the scripture. Nevertheless, we have an experience today of people wanting to give you as much information as they think you need, and they take all the information that they require and do what they want to do and feed it to us in such a way that it is acceptable to us, as if we are not free to choose. Well, it is this discussion that brings me to what I believe is one of the greatest whistleblowing stories that can ever be told to mankind. I've made some notes here, and I hope you don't mind my referring to them as I make sure I get this to you as I have received it. And it is a whistleblowing statement of the nation. And it is the revelation that I bring to you is applicable to every human alive. Take a few seconds and relax, if you will. Prepare to think. The earth we live on exists at the pleasure of a power invisible. Its ability to store every resource ever needed or will be needed to accomplish any need: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, careers of choice, peace, prosperity, and joy for every human on earth. It exists, ladies and gentlemen, at the pleasure of a power invisible. Every human on earth exists at the pleasure of a power invisible. Every government on earth, whether it's social, political, economic, or religious focuses, it exists at the pleasure of humankind without respect due the power invisible. The reason absent the knowledge of the invisible. Think. Think. But what do the power of humankind want? They want to control everything, including the population. One way is by keeping the public in the dark, as we said. Prosecute any citizen that informs the public what they do. This is why violations of the privacy of the public is so important, so they can find anything to prosecute for. You got that? You thinking about that? Is that clear in your thought? Now listen to this. The purpose of born again, it indicates a change of vision, understanding the power of invisible, and most of all, returns the earth to its original purpose, the garden for all. Everything understood and taught in the world system of education and indoctrination is to maintain or further the cause of the status quo government. Think on that. What was Adam and Eve to do at the daunting of the other voice in the garden? They were to do as you must do. We all must do as Jesus did. Obey God, the invisible power, with a wish to die before disobedience. In the earth, mankind's greatest fear is death. The enemy's greatest weapon is death. The easiest thing in the world to do is die. The most difficult is to live. In the beginning, humans lived to die. Now they must die to live. Every true born-again human is ready to die to live. They don't accept the status quo. It is their responsibility to change the earth back to its pure form of love. Think on that, or die in their efforts. These will align their will with that of the invisible power, or die before giving up. Why are the good and the truly born again allowed to be murdered. It is the fruit, the seed of humankind's rebellion and betrayal to God or the invisible power. Since the beginning, when the multitude of humankind have changed their hearts to kindness and love, God will intervene and fight the battles for them. What is being said here on these things you are thinking upon? In olden days, when people wanted to honor God, they would sacrifice an animal. I heard somewhere some man was going to sacrifice his son, but he saw a ram in the bush. But other places, people, for one reason or another, sacrifice humans daily for ritualistic reasons. But what Jesus' message says to all of us is, if you truly are for God, then sacrifice your life, the life that is expressive in the things that you have learned in the current environment you have been exposed to. And yield now your body to the vision which you have seen through the Spirit of the living God that now lives in you. And it is evidence because you are walking according to that Spirit. And that is opposite of the ways of the world. The world go ways that leads to poverty, crime, and violence. The other way goes to peace and prosperity and joy. The world goes to ways of terrorism, war, racism, bigotry. The other way is in friendship. It's in love and more love. Now, the evidence is in what is being done to create that. And if nothing is being done to create that, and the flow is going totally the other way, then no one needs to say what they are doing, how they are serving the other way. The evidence does not support it. You are all going the same way. And that means that whatever you are doing is allowed to be done because it does not hurt the status quo. And you can excuse it any way you want. You are not doing anything for God. I have been given a desire to love you and to speak nice things to you, to find all of the positive things that I can to you and say them to you because someone told me that you can catch more flies with honey, especially bees. So if you want to reach the people and meet them and greet them and draw them in, then share your love with them. But it doesn't matter when the truth is that in order to live, you got to be willing to die. And I can come to you mad as hell and tell you that, or I can come to you in loving ways and tell you that. It doesn't change whether you want to die or not. If you say, I don't want to die in any circumstances, I can come in with as much honey as I want. And you are not going to go. At the same time, I can come to you with much hell. But if you're fed up and you're ready, then it's like a magnet. But so what I am saying to you is sometimes I feel like trying to say the sweetest things to you, and I give it my best. But I'm also reminded sometimes I must tell it to you like it is. And that is this: the ways of the world and the ways of the United States of America does not represent God at all. I don't care how many churches we got. I don't care how many religious faiths and all of the stuff we got. I don't care how many cathedrals. I don't care how many mosques. I don't care anywhere in the world. I don't care how many exist. I don't care how many people are talking about God, talking about the goodness of God, and talking about the glory of God. It is doing no good. Somebody say, well, it's keeping the world from getting any worse. No, baby, if that's all it's doing, it is no good. God is about life. It's about turning around. It's about changing things. It's about ending the ugliness in this world and in our country. It's about ending it, not talking about it, not planning it some way down the future when somebody else is going to do it after every effort some good person have ever tried is squashed. No, it begins right today with you who are listening to this message right now. It begins with you. And if you are not standing up to change this world, to make it beautiful for all people, if you're not doing it, if you're not visibly doing it, if you're not being criticized for doing it, if you're not standing up, being seen, making a difference, then you might as well sit your tail down and turn around and just get your paddle to working and get the flow on going. Because you ain't doing nothing for God. And that liar that have tricked you to believe that you are doing something good. Ladies and gentlemen, check your own heart. Your heart will tell you that there are situations all around you that you would never want to find yourself in. And if you cared for people, you wouldn't want to find them in those situations either. And you would be committed to make sure that if there's anything outside of them that the others can do, that would be done. And they would have no excuse because you gave it your best shot. Now that's what I'm talking about, and that's what God is talking about. And you got to be hearing it like that, or you wasting your time, and that's it for now. Bye-bye.